As we all know, in early modern and medieval times, feasting was a big thing, and it was even bigger at court. They wanted to impress. And one way that they did this was changing one thing into another, making food into another item, and this was called subtleties. And we'll be doing this today. I'll be changing pork mince into apples and oranges. I'll be doing two recipes today. One is called for to make Pomme Dorryse and other things, which is from the form of Cookery, which is a 14th century manuscript of recipes, which are from Richard II's time, and it was his chef. This was made into a book by Samuel Pegg in 1780. The second recipe I'll be making is called Pomme D'Orange, a recipe from a 13th century manuscript, changing pork into an apple, which is coloured orange. Pomme d'Orange is a recipe that was on the coronation menu for Henry IV in the late 14th century. So let's get to it. Let's make our recipes. Here we have pork mince, about 500 grams. Crack an egg into each of the bowls. So it just goes straight in. So I'm going to leave one of the mixtures and put that to the side. For this one, I will be seasoning with salt, which is nice and simple. You just take a couple of pinches, and then we will need saffron. Saffron was a really expensive spice in medieval times, and we will be using 1 strand today. For this, I need to get my pestle and mortar, and then I just put the saffron in, and I'm just going to grind it up. Grab a tiny bit of water and pop just a drop in. It doesn't need to be much, and then you mix it again. It's now changed into a liquid, and we're going to pour this into the mixture. The next thing we need to make is powder fort, and powder fort just means strong powder, and it's dealer's choice in this case. So long pepper, which is similar to black pepper but went out of fashion when we had chilies, black pepper, and then tiny grains called grains of paradise. And grains of paradise come from the coast of West Africa, and in the similar way to long pepper, they also went out of fashion. And now there's one more ingredient that we need to add to the pork, which are currants. It may seem odd to us to have fruit and pork, but it's along the same line with spice. If you can afford it, then you would use it. So now I'm going to roll them into meatball shapes. So the way I normally do this is I just separate it visually in the bowl so I can see roughly how much I've got for each one. And then you just need to roll them like you're making a snowball, roughly a size of an onion. Here you go, and that's our meatballs ready. So it's a similar thing again. The difference with this one is obviously the currants. So I'm going to try and force as much as I can the currants slightly in so that you get an even, smooth-ish surface. And there you have it, your pork apples ready to boil. Great, so now we're going to make our colour green. Now this is 2 bags of parsley, and you take parsley at a time and you just rip it up. Again, loud noises. But you grab it in your hands and you squeeze and you get green colouring. That whole bowl of parsley has turned into this tiny ball of parsley, and I have got, doesn't look like a lot, but this will be enough for our recipe. So we've made our green, but we need to change it into a batter, and this batter will then be coated on the meatballs. A couple of spoonfuls, or maybe 3, of the flour. An egg, just put the whole egg in. In medieval times, you may have used this, but I don't want to clean this up later, so I will not be using this. I will be using a replica. So you can see it's getting a bit clumped together. I'm going to add a tiny bit of water. It's a real green colour. In fact, if I compare it to my apple, it's similar. I'm going to be separating my eggs out. You need about 3 egg yolks for this. Go. Done. So we just need to change the yolks into a mixed up form, and all it is just whisking it as you normally would. But you can already see how orange this colour is compared to our oranges there. Great, so now we've got our food colouring. We just need to boil some water and we can pop our meatballs in. So we're going to put the pork oranges into the stock, and we are going to put the pork apples into the plain one. So both recipes call for both sets of meatballs to be dipped in egg white before they go into the pan. And the final one. There you go, all done. Now you just need to wait 20 minutes for them to boil. We're going to take our slotted spoon and we're going to drain them out. So these are the pork oranges. You can see that the mince is all cooked, and that little bit dropping off, that's egg white, so don't worry about that. And these are our pork apples. And they've kept their meatball shape, which is great. That's going to help when we put them on the spit. There you go, so just one more left. And now we're going to set up our spit, ready to put them on. So, here we go. Phew. The reason I'm going so slow is because I'm trying to stop the meatball from bursting. So the final one. Loaded. And now we're going to put them on the spit and brown them for a bit. Next, we're going to put on the batter, just a spoonful at a time, and we're going to drip it on. And this mixture will cook as it turns round. You can imagine the cooks doing this in the medieval kitchen and wanting it to be absolutely perfect, but I'm not sure I'm going to try for perfection. Let's take them off. Here we have it. Onto the oranges. Okay, and now Mark is going to brown them a little bit on the spit. So we're going to put the egg white on first, and it's going to be a lot runnier than the batter. And there you go, pretty much covered. Now it won't take long for this to cook. So the white looks like it's done, and now we're on to the egg yolk. You can see it's a lot quicker than the other batter. And then we've just got the last one to do. Right, that's them done, so we just need to wait for them to be cooked. Thanks, Mark. Here we go. So our apples and oranges. So we're going to finish these off, and I'm going to use a bay leaf, and I can pop it into the hole, and then I'm going to use a sage leaf for the oranges, and again just pop them into the hole. And there you have it, apples and oranges made of pork. I think it's time for some tasting.
Hello, what have you been up to? These look really exciting.
Thanks, Emma. We have some pork apples and pork oranges. There you go. And I'll just get a bit for Mark.
It's not what I was expecting, but it's really tasty.
It's not bad.
You did really well. Very medieval. It's got that sweetness from the currants.
Thank you. You can really tell the difference.
Thank you.
It's not as sweet, and you can taste the egg. Both very nice though.
Egg and sausage. Can't go wrong with that. All day breakfast.
All day breakfast.
Fantastic.
So let us know if you have a go at making these at home yourself. You may not have a spit, but you have an oven, so they're definitely worth a try.